the Lisbon airport.
Oh, God. So many people are going to be like, oh, why?
Why, Beth?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. We are Shelley and Beth, a married couple living in Portugal and traveling the world. These are our stories. Bom dia, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Wandering Works for Us. I'm Shelley.
And I'm Beth.
And today, we are going to finally do a podcast on Lisbon.
It's about time.
Yes. We've been here over a year now. We've been to Lisbon several times. And we thought maybe we would tell you about our favorite places that we like in Lisbon.
Yeah, or more specifically, I think our favorite places we'd recommend if you were going to be in Lisbon for 1 or 2 days kind of thing. Because we're still exploring, and I think some of our favorite places are going to end up being way off the beaten
path. Because every time we've been to Lisbon now, we've done touristy things mostly.
Yes.
Because either we didn't do enough of it when we were on our own, or we were meeting someone in Lisbon or taking someone to Lisbon. And so we just decided we're done with Lisbon. We're not really. We love Lisbon. It's just we're done with some of the touristy things. So if we were going to recommend some touristy things to do if you're coming to Lisbon, this is what we would recommend.
Yeah, these are some of the, must-dos. And there are some of the things that we won't talk about in this podcast that people would consider must-dos. But
yes.
This is only our opinion, folks.
And I do want to mention there's one thing that we haven't done. We have not gone to the São Jorge Castle in Alfama.
I know, we've only been to the outside.
We've looked at it from afar.
Yeah.
We've taken some great pictures of it on the hill.
And we meant to do it last time or time before last, and we just didn't get there for some reason, but we will get there.
Eventually. But I've also heard that it's not much to it. That you can walk around. It's got some great views, and there's a bunch of peacocks in there.
Yeah, which I want to see.
Okay, well, let's see. That'd be the reason we go.
Yeah. I'd like to see the peacocks.
We're just going to see the peacocks.
Yeah. So everyone says it's a great place to go and get great pictures of Lisbon because it's high up on the hill and it's got a great view. So we'll get there. Maybe
we'll make it there one day. So, do you want to start us off? Where would you recommend people go to?
I will start with the Tile Museum.
That's a good start.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
It's technically the National Museum of the Azulejo.
Very good. Look at you.
Azulejo.
Azulejo.
And it's in a former convent that was built in 1509, and one of the reasons to go is just to see the convent because...
Did we do a podcast on the...
Did we?
I think we did.
That included the Tile Museum?
I think we did, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
We'll have to check back on that. I know there is a blog post about the Azulejos.
Yes, there
Tile
are.
Museum. But
there
I can't
is.
remember if we did a podcast on
it. I don't think we did. Okay. But at any rate, because it's in a former convent, you also get to see the church. I think it's called a chapel, but it's pretty doggone big, and some of those things left over from the convent.
And some cloisters.
Some
I didn't mention the cloisters.
Cluster in the cloisters. So it covers the 15th century to the present day, and some of the present day tiles are some of my favorite. There's some really good ones. But one of the most famous things there, and indeed one of the reasons to go, is the artwork, I'm going to call it, the long group of tiles that form what is called the Great View of Lisbon. And it was done in 1700, painted on these tiles, and it's, 40 feet long?
It's huge, yes.
Yeah, it's really long. I do feel like we've talked about this.
40 feet, but I'm not sure. Yeah.
But at any rate, the great earthquake of Lisbon was in 1755, and this was done in 1700, and it survived the earthquake amazingly because most of Lisbon was destroyed, if not by the original earthquake, by the fires that broke out, and then by the tsunami that happened. And so, and you know that tsunami was even felt, or was even happened here in Peniche, right next to us.
Ooh,
it was kind of all up the coast, but there were several thousand people killed in Peniche.
Oh gosh.
After that.
I didn't know.
Yeah. So anyway, this tile artwork is the only surviving record of what Lisbon looked like before the earthquake. And when they rebuilt, they changed some of Lisbon significantly. And so it's the only surviving record. And I just think it's really cool to go see it. And it's signed well, so you know what the views are that you're looking at, or the buildings.
I know that on YouTube, I put up a video. I believe there's a video on the blog of the whole tile map.
Yeah.
So it's worth it.
It is.
Just to see that, really. But you'll see thousands of other tiles.
Yes, thousands of other tiles. And you will see all kinds of tiles, all kinds of applications, like tiles that were used in altarpieces, tiles that were used as fireplace surrounds, tiles that were just used as artwork, you know, that kind of thing. And you will also learn how tiles are made. They have some good displays about, you know, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. They also have a great little cafe to have a snack at and sit outside if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little out of the way.
It is. It's not really like close to any other thing.
It's a little out of the way from the rest of the spots, but you can get there on public transportation if you don't want to walk or don't want to take an Uber or a Bolt. And so I recommend it. There are lots of museums in Lisbon, but if you're interested in the tiles or the azulejos,
because you see them everywhere, all over Portugal,
then I recommend going there.
Big deal here, yeah.
So, anything else to add to that?
I don't think so.
Okay. What do you want to talk about next?
So, my number one recommendation would be go to Alfama.
Mm-hmm.
And Alfama is one of the 2 neighborhoods that actually survived the earthquake of 1755. They're sitting kind of up on a hill. Alfama is nothing but a hill. So when you're going, just be prepared to go up the hill and down the hill and up the hill and down the hill.
And it also is the oldest neighborhood, right?
It is the oldest neighborhood. It's still got medieval things there. It still feels old. It's part
narrow
of Lisbon
streets
that feels like as old as Lisbon is. And the thing is, Lisbon is older than Rome.
You told me that, and it's hard to believe.
400 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's possible. It's the second oldest city in Europe.
Wow.
Athens was the first.
Wow.
If that tells you anything. So
that's amazing.
During the earthquake, mostly the poor people lived in that neighborhood. But before then, when the Moors were part of Portugal and they were taking over that area, they built it. Which tells you that maybe their architectural skills were superior because the rest of Lisbon kind of went down the hill.
Maybe so.
Literally.
Yeah. Yeah, literally. So and it's just so charming. Charming.
The winding streets. Go through Alfama. Just walk the narrow streets. Duck into a cafe. Have a cup of ginger. Listen to the impromptu fado.
Yeah, you'll probably hear it's kind of the home of fado.
To me, that is
Lisbon.
real what Lisbon should be. Because other parts of Lisbon that have been rebuilt since 1755 feel newer. They're more modern. But this area, to me, it's my favorite spot in all of Lisbon.
Now, all that being said, it is touristy now. And
some parts of it are, yes.
We stayed in an Airbnb, it was Airbnb there, and we loved it. There are one-way streets everywhere, so we were glad we weren't driving, but it is just so charming, and it is one of the places where people always want to go. There's lots of cool souvenir shopping and viewpoints and cafes on the hill where you can look out on the viewpoint and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and the castle is in Alfama and part of Alfama, so.
It is. We just haven't been there yet.
No, but that's, when I want to go to Lisbon, that's where I'd prefer to be right now. Now, granted, we found another neighborhood, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. A off the beaten path neighborhood. But also, if you take a tuk-tuk tour, which if you have been listening to us for a while, you'll know that in a lot of cities we recommend them. That is definitely one of the places that the tuk-tuks will go. They'll cover Alfama, and you want them to if you don't want to walk up all the hills.
All the hills. There are a lot of hills.
Yeah, reminder that Lisbon, just like
Rome.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
And maybe Paris, I can't remember.
It's called the City of Seven Hills. Yeah. 7 almost mountains.
I think there are more than 7 hills there.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about is a little more offbeat, if you will, and it's all over Lisbon, and that's the street art.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's definitely worth seeing, yeah.
Bordalo II. Did I do that right, do you think?
Close enough.
Which means Bordalo II. His grandfather was an artist. His grandfather did street art as well as selling his paintings commercially. So the second started his street art as early as like age 11, I think, or something. Really? He was really young. He'd tag along with his grandfather and do some things. He now does what he calls trash art. And what he does, it is to bring awareness to our culture of throwing things away.
Consumerism.
Yes. So he collects things from dumpsters, the street, who knows where. And he makes things that are highlighting that. The things that he makes out of the trash are actually highlighting that. So, for example, he did a bear. Whatever this type of bear is, it is endangered now or on the list, almost endangered because we've destroyed so much of its habitat. Those sorts of things. And it sounds really heavy, and it is, but also his art is delightful.
It's beautiful. It's so well done.
So beautiful. And he actually has art all over the world now, installations all over the world, and they're huge. They're, it could be as high as a 3-story building, or it might be not on a building. Most of his stuff is attached to a building somehow, but he does do some freestanding things as well. So his name is spelled Bordalo. Look him up, and he has art all over Lisbon and many places that we've been in Portugal.
Bordalo also has a sculpture of pelican in the
Chiado.
The Chiado neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's right next to the elevator.
Yeah, the Junta elevator, which is a tourist thing now where you can ride up and see a good view of Lisbon.
Yeah, and I don't recommend you do that.
Yeah, it's not worth standing in line for. No. But it's where it's situated. If you're looking straight at this elevator, you go up the steps, and it's at the top of those stairs at the next street on the left, and they're really cool. They're some of my favorites, actually. Yeah. Other than Bordalo, I really just love all the street art.
There is a lot, too.
There's a lot of it. And I have probably hundreds of pictures of street art.
Check our Facebook page.
In places other than Lisbon,
too.
But I really love it, and it's one of the things that I really like about going to Lisbon.
The other thing that I would recommend you do is go to Belém.
I listened to the pronunciation of that, and it was Belém.
Belém. Okay.
Belém.
A lot of people mispronounce it, just like me. It is down by the river. The River Tejo. I think that's right.
Tagus.
Tagus. Oh, yeah, the Tagus.
Tagus.
Ooh. Oh, down by the River Tagus. It's on the waterfront. And it is busy as hell, especially right now. I think it's been busy since April, maybe. It is a top tourist destination because Jerónimos is down there. The Discoveries thing that you're going to talk about in a few minutes is down there. But what I recommend is you go down and you have the original Pastéis de nata.
Yes, at Pastéis de Belém.
And these are the little custard pastries that are all over Portugal. I mean, we can walk across the street and get a couple of,
yes, and they're good.
Pastel de natas. But these are the original recipe.
Yes.
That came from the monks of Jerónimos, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And what they did is they used to use the egg whites to starch the habits for the nuns. And they needed to do something with all these egg yolks. So they came up with this pastry. And now only 2 people in the world ever know what the original recipe is at a time. And one is the head chef.
Yeah, the head,
Belém.
What do you call a dessert chef? A
pastry chef.
A pastry chef, the head pastry chef, and one of the owners, which is the same family that opened it in 1837.
Yes.
So there's a family member and the head pastry chef. And they actually, you can see them if you go there, you will see them like taking them out of the oven and putting them on trays. I can't remember how many they sell a day.
Thousands of them. Because,
yes, thousands.
Even we went, we always order 6.
Because they they sell thousands a day. When you see into this room, you see them coming out of the ovens, but you do not see them being made. That is in a secret room. And people that work there don't even have access to that secret room. It's very secretive. Now, people have copied it, of course.
Of course. There's places all over.
I mean, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Get one of these pastries.
But if
have the original.
If you're a true aficionado, this is the original recipe with the original ingredients and the original proportions. And they are delicious.
Yeah. And I would say, the first few times that I had them, I couldn't tell the difference between the original and anything else I had. But now that I've lived here for a while, I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. And there is a difference.
Yeah. We don't know what the secret ingredient is, but
I'm guessing vanilla.
But
I don't know
there's
for certain.
Something about
there's
it that is so good. So yeah, go down there. Now, we mentioned Jerónimos Monastery.
Well, hang on a minute.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not done.
I beg your pardon. Go ahead.
I was going to say that when you go, you are going to see 2 lines out of this building, and they will be long. One of them's takeout. So if you really just want to get something to go, you can stand in that line, or you can get into the other line that goes into the cafe. Don't freak out about how long the line is because it moves really fast.
It does.
Take your time, get in line, go in there, order a coffee, order the pastiche, sit, chill, enjoy. Don't eat them on the tuk-tuk.
Yeah, exactly.
Enjoy them.
Yes. Now, when she says cafe, it's actually almost like a food hall. I mean, it holds
it's huge, and that's
200 people or something.
Yeah, that's why the line will move really fast.
Yeah,
it is huge
because it has become one of the things to do, and we recommend it.
Yeah. Now, Jerónimos Monastery,
which is just down the street and is connected to this because of the recipe. We have been in the monastery now. We went in it recently, and while it is beautiful, if you listen to our last podcast, you will know that it is not really our favorite. There are others that are more magnificent or interesting or whatever. And so if you're short on time, I think the best part of that monastery is the outside architecture.
I would agree.
It is incredible. And you can take all the pictures you want. There's a wide open street there. You can get all kinds of angles and everything. And
Although you might want to go early because that line starts to get long after a while. So you're going to have a lot of people in your pictures. But,
well, that's true.
Yeah.
If you're short on time, I would not recommend necessarily doing that monastery unless you have a very specific reason. Mm-hmm. But what we do recommend is on the other side of the monastery, and in fact attached to that building, is a museum that's called the Maritime Museum. And a lot of people refer to it as the Navy Museum. We went there, and it was fascinating.
That was fascinating. It really is.
Yeah, it was a really good museum.
Because as you know, the Portuguese for quite some time were some avid sailors and some colonizers. Not a good thing. But they did a great deal of exploration, of course, and they have monuments down there that we'll talk about. But this is an incredible museum. So many artifacts, tells you the history of their maritime. I mean, there's boats everywhere.
Yeah, there's warehouse-like room, if you will, that has lots of barges and boats and things in it. They also have 2 of the 18th century ceremonial barges. I looked this up so we remember. Remember how we thought they were the inside cabins of maybe a ship that royalty used?
I thought that's what the thing said.
Well, I think it was really, well, a barge is a ship in a way. But anyway, one of them was built for Queen Maria, and it remained operational for almost 200 years.
Oh my gosh.
Transporting famous passengers such as Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany and Queen Elizabeth II of England. And then there's a 19th century royal cabin from the yacht of Queen Amelia in there. And these two have all the furniture and fabrics and everything. It's like you can look into the rooms, if you will, where they stayed and worked. And it's fun. I enjoyed that.
And it's a huge museum, so it's going to take a while for you to get through it. I think we might have been there for 2 hours.
Yeah, if not longer.
Because it just kept going and going. But it was fascinating.
It was. Before going to that museum, I knew next to nothing about the explorers. And while this is not specifically for you to come out and know everything about all the explorers, you learn a lot. And I really enjoyed learning that. And we got a great map there that showed all the trade routes and things that Portugal established. And it was in color and it's gorgeous, and we were so in love with it. We bought it before we even moved here to take back to the United States with us, and we left it on the airplane in its tube. So one of these days we are going to pop back into that gift shop and get that map, because if you like maps, it was a really cool, and you're in Portugal. Yeah. It's really interesting. So we recommend that museum, and I think it's less crowded than a lot of things down in that area.
That's true. And while we're down in that area, we're going to go ahead because you're going to talk about the
Monument of the Discoveries.
The Monument of the Discoveries.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes. And there's also a modern art museum down there.
There is MAAT, M-A-A-T it's called.
And then a little bit further down the way is the Belém Tower.
Yeah.
Which I just recently learned was actually just for customs. It was a customs building for a while. But now it's just, a tourist thing where you can climb to the top and
But it's a beautiful building. Yeah. It's hard to describe. It's almost like
looks like a castle turret that's not round.
Yes, and like it's plunked into the water.
Yes.
It's like the top of a building that was kind of plunked into the water.
It is.
Without the bottom part of it.
The top of a castle that was plunked into the water.
Yeah, but it's really beautiful, and it looks different when the tide is in. The water is up to, there's little footbridges that go over to walk into it, and there's water under those when the tide's in. When the tide is out, that is all sand and rocks, and you can kind of collect some cool seashells in there. The piece of art, if you will, that I really love down there is the Monument of the Discoveries, and it celebrates the age of discovery in the 15th and 16th centuries when Portugal was so active doing that. It's on the Tagus River. It's right there on the river, and it's 5 stories high.
Huge.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah, it's big. It's
very
granite.
Detailed.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom of it looks like the prow of a ship, if you will. And then there are, I believe, 30 figures carved on each side, and they represent the explorers, the mathematicians, the scientists, all of those people that were very active with the age of the discoveries. It is very cool.
It is very cool.
And you can pull it up online to see who each person is. And there are lots of things online that will say, left to right, here are these people. And you can read about them. And then there's beautiful tile work on the ground in that plaza.
There's a map right there.
Yeah, there's a map. So I just think it's a really beautiful monument.
It is. It is a beautiful monument. And you get to walk along the river. It's a nice view. And you can look across and see the replica of the Christ with his arms stretched out.
Oh, from Brazil?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, yeah. But you can see that from that viewpoint.
Yes, you can.
And you can, I believe, buy a ticket and go to the top of that monument and walk
the
around
Christ?
at the top. No. The Age of Discovery.
Oh, yes, I believe you can.
Yeah, you can buy a ticket and take an elevator up and walk around the top and take some pictures.
Yeah, we should do that. We haven't done that.
Maybe. Every time we're there, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been pretty crowded.
There's so many people.
It's been pretty crowded.
But that whole area of Belém is just really, it's a neat place to go hang out. And we even saw a nice flea market down that way the last time we were there.
Yeah, sort of in between the Jerónimos Monastery and the water, going down to see something like the Age of Discovery in a park.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get down there, it is I'm going to call it kind of like a little bit of a highway. It's not really a highway, but it's a very busy road.
Yeah.
And you cannot cross that road. You have to cross on the flyovers, on the pedestrian bridges that they have every so often going across there. So look out for those. Don't pass one by and walk, a quarter of a mile and have to go back. Look at your map.
We took the tram to get there because we had come into town on the metro, and then we took a tram to get there, which was very crowded. And to get back, we were like, let's just call a bolt because, oh my God, I don't want to get back on the tram. And it was a pain in the butt for him to get to our location.
It was because it's
just so you know.
Yeah, it's kind of...
You can't turn around there. There's no intersection where people turn around. It's either one way this way, and then traffic gets...
Yeah, and then there's a big tall median thing in the middle.
Yeah, you can't cross over, so
yeah.
You might as well just get back on the tram or walk a little way.
Or walk back up to the monastery, and that's easier.
Yeah, that might be easier.
Yeah, and it's not far, but yeah, we didn't know that at the time. So, let's see. Do you want to talk about Rossio Square?
Well, my favorite thing to do in Lisbon is to see all the neighborhoods. I like to just walk around and see things. I like museums, and all the ones that we've been to have been really cool, but if I tell somebody to go visit Lisbon, I would say go to the neighborhoods, and one of them being the Chiado section where Rossio Square is. So if you're walking around that area, that's more like a shopping district. And in one part of it, I would say it has the less expensive stores where the Santa Justa elevator is. And there's nice cafes. You can sit out there and people watch. There's a great place to get some ginger if you're interested. There's usually always something going on in Rossio Square. And if you continue north and head up that way, you can get on the metro and keep going north, or you can just walk. You're going up the Avenida de Liberdade. And that is the most expensive shopping district.
That's the Rodeo Drive.
Yes, that's a Louis Vuitton.
Of Lisbon.
All the ones that that's the only two expensive places I could probably name. The Mont Blanc store because I like pins.
Yes.
But
it's got all the ones you've heard of.
Yes, they're the ones that I've heard of. That's the really expensive street to go shopping. But it's a nice walk.
It's a beautiful street. The street is 3 or 4 lanes going each way. 3 lanes?
No. 2 lanes go. Well, okay, it's kind of weird because it's 2 lanes and then a median and then 1 lane on the side. and then a giant median in the middle
Yeah.
with another 2 lanes on the other side and a median and a 1 lane over there.
Yeah.
So
there's a dedicated bike lane.
it sounds busy, and
Yeah,
it is, but
it
it's
is,
not
but-
hard to walk it.
But on each side, it's all park. All
Yes.
the way down in between the road
So
and the shops.
The median is a park.
Yeah,
basically.
and it's quite beautiful. There's some cafes
Big
in the
giant
medians.
squares. And the Marquis Pombal is the one that designed all that area after the earthquake.
Yes.
It used to be very medieval and small streets, and he widened it up, made all these plazas, and now you can't afford to shop there.
There we
Unless you're
go.
a millionaire. But
Yes,
it's a nice place to walk, and it has some great rooftop bars down through there.
they do. And it's very shaded because lots of trees in
Yes.
these areas going down. And so it might be a good place to go cool off if you're walking around in hot as well.
Because they have cafes right there in the middle of the whole thing in the park, and you can stop and get a beer and sit and people watch and keep on walking.
So that's kind of fun. Shall I talk about one of my favorite places that I told you about and you laughed?
Sure. And I can't remember what it was.
It is the Lisbon airport.
Oh, God. So many people are going to be like, oh, why?
Why?
would
Why?
you do
Beth?
that?
Lisbon airport's just kind of one of my favorite places because something good's always happening.
Except the traffic
Well,
or the
yeah.
parking.
Yeah. But come on, Eeyore. It's also happiness.
Oh, I dread driving into the airport. But yes, it is a happy moment when you're picking up someone you love.
It is. It's so much fun. All right. What else is on your list?
I've covered mine, really.
Yeah.
See the neighborhoods, go to Alfama, have coffee in a park. That's my favorite part of traveling, is seeing that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So if somebody said to me, well, I'm coming to Lisbon, what do you think I should see? I would ask them a bunch of questions about what they like before I would say, oh, you should see this. My philosophy is if I'm going to a different city, I want to observe the culture. So I want to eat at the restaurants, and I want to watch the people, and I want to walk through the neighborhoods and the parks and, see the laundry hanging out on the
Yeah. I agree. It's definitely the best part. We like to wander, as our name indicates. We haven't even touched the surface of a lot of the touristy things there are to do in Lisbon. And we've gotten weary of the tourist areas a little bit. And so we have started exploring other areas in Lisbon. And as we learn more about that, we'll tell you about it. We stayed in one recently that we really liked. And we're excited to see Lisbon outside of the tourist areas.
Yeah, I want to explore that area more. It was more of an antique kind of area. And,
Yeah, there were lots of antique shops.
And it was just, it felt so much better than the other places that we
Well, it was more of a neighbor. It was more of a
people. Actually, real people lived there.
Yeah, real people live there and go to work and eat at the cafes and that kind of thing. So it's kind of our thing. So, anything else we need to tell folks?
Well, I want to say in general, Lisbon is very safe. You don't really have to worry too much about getting attacked or shot here.
You don't have to
speak as an American.
You don't
in
have
general.
You don't have to worry about that at all, really.
I would say a lot of people, when they want to go through Alfama or they're doing a tour, they talk about the Tram 28 that takes you through all of those neighborhoods, which is kind of cool if it's not overly crowded. But because it's so popular, it is overly crowded, and you have to watch for pickpockets.
Yes.
That's probably the biggest issue you would have here, is somebody grabbing your bag while you're sitting, or, your phone, or pickpocketing
Yeah.
you. But the rest of it is no problem. I mean, we've walked through the streets in the night without any issues. Just, be aware of your surroundings in general.
Yeah.
And enjoy the city. It really doesn't get, I think, started until like 1 a.m, but we're always asleep.
Yeah. Bars and I mean, they're open by 9 or whatever, but they really get hopping
We're
about.
the only ones in there.
Yeah, that's all right. It's like, hey. Yeah,
This
they
is
get
the
hopping
nightlife.
about 1
Yeah.
because bars do not close at 2 o'clock. in Europe.
No.
Generally
They're
speaking.
open for quite some time. So
Yeah.
just come and walk around and enjoy yourself and eat some pastel de nata and drink the local beer and try the local wine and definitely drink the coffee and
Definitely.
and just soak it up.
Okay.
Well, I think that's all I got about Lisbon. I
I
mean, we could talk for days, but
Yeah. That's all
Yeah.
I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, do we have anything up for next time? I don't think. Oh, we might be on a hiatus for a little while because we are going on an epic road trip.
We are an 8-night, 9-day road trip.
Oh my God, Beth has planned an adventure.
I have. We're going north. We're even going over the border into Spain. Because in case you haven't looked at a map lately, the north border of Portugal is actually touching Spain as well as the east border. And so we're going to go over that border and go to a couple of places up there and then drop back into Portugal. And it's going to be fun.
We were supposed to go to Madrid and Barcelona,
Yes.
but we had to cancel our trip because Katie, hey Katie,
Hi, Katie.
had to do some consulate stuff for her passport to get into England. So we're going on this trip instead, and then we'll see her again in August.
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah, that'll be good. But we're going to go on a road trip, and we're in the middle of Festus season.
That's true. We're in the middle of all the festus that
We
we gotta
just
talk
went
about.
to our town's medieval fair last weekend,
Yes.
and not this weekend, but next weekend we're going to the Óbidos medieval fair.
right before we leave for our trip
Yeah, so there will be lots to talk about when
we get back.
we get back.
So,
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Okay.
All right. Well, if that's it, then I will bid you a lovely boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. If you would like to reach out to us or ask questions, you can find us on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. You can also follow us at our website, www.forus.com. That's www.forus.com. Hope to hear from you soon. Obrigada!